I don't know if they removed it all, you know, whenever they put that door in there, but I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But they're moving on, so we'll see.
Start taking the electronics down and the old surveillance system, which would basically shut that whole thing down. We'll see how it goes. I mean,
I didn't even know, which they asked me, and I said, well, just put those cameras and stuff in the box, and they can decide what they're gonna do with it.
I think the only thing that's on the is like the server itself, you know, not the.
It's all of those desks and stuff in there. And then they come by and see you guys, just let better know that 4 or 5 numbers that keep getting on his phone. Me. He doesn't even have his voice with us.
That's by design, brother.
Yeah. Have you been
Sure.
on today?
Agenda?
Kind of interesting. I heard it. I was invited for a VIP thing. Out in Jimmy's,
Oh, yeah.
but I decided I probably had money to do that,
Yeah.
even though.
We'll share.
I heard they got good food.
I'm gonna try to go to Fort Benning later. My son's the international son.
Is it snack?
Yeah, and so last year he got third, and so you see how he does this year. Yeah, just to get the shoot in, it's big. You know, he gets some chicken. It's all set back here.
Okay, that's what we'll see you later.
All right, how are you? That's okay? Pull in a little bit. What they did out of you. Yeah.
Just leave it to the house place.
Number 20. I'll come around. This, I'll give it to the mayor. Did anybody not get one that wanted one?
Sure.
Can y'all pass this around and please sign in? I'll pass it to the next one. So, you signed in?
Didn't need to make it.
I need to confuse you.
Yeah. Well, there's not a good way to do that. You signed in?
Did you? I
I
did.
did. Did you sign in?
Yeah, so good.
I signed in too.
There you go.
Sure, there's a couple seats over. How are you?
All right, it's 5:30, I'd like to call you all city council meeting to order. Mr. Parker, will you do the invocation, please?
Our gracious Heavenly Father, again, Lord, we just thank you for the many blessings you give us throughout the years. Pray, Heavenly Father, that there's so much hurt in our nation, in the world. Pray, Heavenly Father, that being on the worst we're having, might be peace. Pray, Heavenly Father, that council tonight that we'll do the things what's best for you, Father. Thank you, Lord, for all the blessings I ask these things.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Here.
Mayor Warren,
Here.
Councilor Barton,
I'm here. I hadn't been sworn in yet, but I'm here.
and Councilor Good here. And then we have an open seat that will be sworn in tonight.
All right, Mrs. Wall.
Would you like for me to
Yeah.
give the oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mr. Barton?
Do you have something I can read? You're gonna be real slow, aren't you? There you go.
As the city attorney and as the notary public, I'm authorized to give you this oath of office. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the oath you're about to read to me and sign will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Would you please read that, please inserting your name?
I, Roger Barton, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the laws of the United States of America and the Constitution, the laws of the state of Oklahoma, and that you follow a code of ordinances, and that I will knowingly receive directly or indirectly any money or any valuable thing for the performance or non-performance of any act of duty pertaining to my employment other than the compensation allowed by law, and that I will faithfully discharge my duties as a member of the city council to the best of my ability.
Thank you.
Sign it.
Yes, is that the one that has your name on it?
I think I have it, Kay.
I think Valerie has yours.
Let's see if I got it.
To be signed. And I think you are still continuing your present term until noon on Monday.
Okay.
So you're seated tonight as your old term that you've not quite finished.
I don't know.
We'll
I'll
find
get you
out
one.
who did it.
Okay.
And do you want to swear Evelyn in right now, even though she doesn't take hers until Monday noon?
That would be wise because we have it on the agenda.
Miss Evelyn Fuller, are you present? Okay. Would you please raise your right hand to be sworn? I give you this oath as the city attorney and also as the notary public allowed to give oaths. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the oath you're about to read and sign will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Would you please read it and serve in your name?
I, Evelyn Gully, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America and the Constitution, the laws of the state of Oklahoma, and the Utah Code of Ordinances, and that I will not knowingly receive directly or indirectly any money or any other valuable thing for the performance or non-performance of any act or duty pertaining to my employment, other than the compensation allowed by law, that I will faithfully discharge my duties as a member of the city council to the best of my ability.
Is that for you to sign and I'll sign and literally seal it? Monday noon, you are official. Thank you.
All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. Item number 7, approval of minutes. A, council meeting March the 3rd, 2025. B, special call council meeting March 11th, 2025. Item 8, approval of the February Treasury report. Item 9, approval of March 2025 payroll figures for the general fund in the amount of $76,791.37. Item 10, receipt and approval of payment for March claims, City of Eufaula. Council?
I make the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
Counselor Morgan.
Yes.
Oh, yes, consent agenda passes.
Only if Jamie had given us a resignation that he vacated early.
We'll move on to item 11, consideration, acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to select a city council member for the position of mayor.
I nominate James Hickman from city mayor, position of mayor.
I second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
Counselor Morgan.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that motion carries. Mr. Hickman?
Oh, we switching seats or?
Might as well. I'll sit down here by the big boss.
Okay. Moving on to item number 12, consideration of acceptance, approval, and adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to select a city council member for the position of vice mayor.
I make a motion that we elect my friend here, Tisha Morgan.
I will second that as well.
Counselor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
Counselor Morgan.
Yes.
Well, congratulations, Tisha. That motion passes, or I should say Vice Mayor Morgan. I apologize. Okay, moving on to item number 13, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to designate signatories for the City of Eufaula accounts payable checks.
That would be me.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. In our system, as you know, it's electronic. Tyler is electronic, and we do our signatures on our checks that way.
Okay.
As we do have a new council coming in, one of the two signatories is off of the council at this point. So we need to elect signatories for that, for our checking accounts and for checks to be signed. So we need two people who would be willing to be the signers on our checking accounts. And we'll have to set that up with the bank, and we'll also have to get electronic signatures for you. And until all of that can come through, we will need you to come in on Fridays and sign checks.
Okay,
That seems like that should be the mayor and vice mayor, so I do ask for consideration of James Hickman and Trish be signees.
I will second that.
Okay. Counselor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Okay. That motion passes. We will continue on to item number 14. Consideration, acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution 25-4-1, adopting a code of ethics for City of Eufaula elected and appointed municipal leaders. Ms. Andrea.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of the proposed code of ethics is to strengthen the quality of the democratic government that you all represent. It is particularly focused on working on the collective benefit, not for self-benefit in any which way, upholding the highest standards of honor and integrity, being respectful to one another and valuing diverse perspectives, keeping the entire community informed of matters that pertain to the city government, being respectful and having civil public deliberations, not behind closed doors, basing decisions on merit and substance rather than personal opinion, complying not just with the letter of the law, but also with the spirit of the law, and lastly, committing to ongoing improvement and self-development. Again, this is the proposed code of ethics for the city council as well as any appointed leaders of advisory committees or commissions. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Just for the record, I read through those and I appreciate the effort in putting that together, that we as a council and as a city and as leaders, that we hold the highest standard of ethics. I think that's very important as we move forward, but not just now, but also in the future as well for the city. So thank you. I have no questions.
No, I have no questions.
Do I hear a motion to approve then the code of ethics for the city of Eufaula?
The motion to approve.
I second.
Counselor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes as well. Moving on to item number 15, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution 25-4-2, adopting the City of Eufaula Revised City Council Handbook. Ms. Andrea.
Mr. Mayor, at this point in time, the city council does have a handbook, but there have been some statutory law changes, and we wanted to make sure that we did not just include those, but also really put some meat on those bones of the handbook itself. I know that by state law, every council member is required to attend the New Officials Institute after being elected into office within the first year of holding office. This council handbook is really it is your guide, it is your resource, it guides you directly to the state statutes that govern our council manager form of government. And so it is available at any point in time. If you would allow me to just step through it very quickly. The table of contents, and once it is approved and we include the adoption resolution in it, I will resend the electronic form so it is searchable by keywords. The table of contents is actually linked to each one of the sections within the book. And you can see there, it's just a general introduction, then explanation on what the council manager form of government is, because there are actually 4 different forms of governments within the state of Oklahoma, albeit some of those have a charter on top of that, so they may be slightly different. Roles and responsibilities are clearly laid out, starting on page number 4 and 5. And then QR codes, there are a couple of QR codes in this document that guide you directly to the state statutes pertaining to those topics. In this particular case, it is anything that has to do anything with municipal governments. Page number 13, everything you ever wanted to know about public meetings and all of the requirements that have to be adhered to. Page number 19, a quick start for Robert's Rules of Orders, because that can get very complicated very quickly. So this is always a handy guide to keep with you. Code of conduct, you just approved a code of ethics, but just a general code of conduct is contained in your handbook as well. How to treat your fellow counselors, how to treat the public, how to work with staff, all very important things. And then last but certainly not least, on page number 35, your fiduciary responsibilities as elected official. And then just a couple of appendices which pertain to, of course, the Code of Ethics that was just adopted by the City Council, but also confidentiality agreement for executive sessions. Just a confirmation that everybody understands once they go into that room. What happens in that room stays in that room, kind of like what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And then, of course, the City Council disclosure form of interest if there should ever be a potential conflict of interest. And again, this is your resource. It stays with you. If there are any subsequent updates to state law that affect this handbook, then we would come back and make another revision and bring it back to the council. I'd be happy to answer any question on the City Council handbook.
Any questions?
Not right now.
Anytime.
I will say I did read through it twice today as well. And it is a well of information, and I appreciate you putting this together. So thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve.
Councilor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Barton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. And thank you again for putting this together. We appreciate that.
Gladly.
Moving on to item number 16, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution 25-4-3, adopting the City of Eufaula budgeting and financial planning policies. Again, Ms. Andre.
Mr. Mayor, in perfect timing for the development of the municipal budget for the next fiscal year, I noticed that as I was studying the city code that we did not currently have any budgeting policies. And so allow me to just step you through the short version. It is very important for the municipality to have a reserve policy. Oklahoma has terrible weather, and so something always comes in sideways, whether that is a windstorm, an ice storm, or anything else, hopefully never a tornado. Having a set reserve policy to where there are operating reserves held in the budget at certain levels is an absolute must for any Oklahoma municipality. What is being proposed for the general fund, which would cover most of those emergencies, is at least a 14% threshold, up to 20% of the overall general fund budget. For other enterprise funds, for example, for the Public Works Authority, that threshold is set at 5% because that is the underground infrastructure, not necessarily affected by the weather. Again, the lower threshold 5%, the upper threshold 20%. Anything over that operating reserve can be rolled into operations, but that has to be held in the budget. Now, as you can imagine, this is the first year that those would be implemented, so we may not make it all the way to the 14% on the general fund, but we would try to get as close as possible, and then again next year work towards getting at least to that minimum threshold. What is also important, because fuel prices fluctuate greatly, and who knows what happens on the geopolitical landscape. So having a solid 2% contingency fund for when oil prices rise, thus fuel prices rise, thus lubrication goes up, we need to have a little bit of a reserve for those ongoing operation funding. By state law, you can never set aside more than 10% for miscellaneous, so 2% is a very safe threshold, but it allows for those additional expenses just in case we did not appropriately project those costs out as we were developing the budget. It is there. What is really nice in those policies is that if we have to tap into the operating reserve or we have to tap into the contingency, it has to come back to the City Council for approval, because you need to be told why we're tapping into those reserve policies. Long-term planning, the city really needs to not just focus on the next year, but really how longer-term outlook. I know that Valerie and I are currently stepping through the budget. You may not have the 5-year outlook just by virtue of we have literally just have 4 weeks now to get the solid budget back into your hands, including public hearing and everything. But ultimately, there should always be a multi-year outlook on potential projections, so we can plan long-term. Capital expenditures and planning, there should be a certain amount set aside every year for capital renewal. If the general fund budget is so encumbered that most of everything goes to labor cost, then we are no longer able to really be an efficient city government. And thus, a certain amount of money must be set aside for capital improvements. Personnel cost, it is controlled by fund and by department. I would recommend to stay within 75% and no more of the entire general fund being dedicated to personnel costs, because again, beyond that, if there was more money set aside for personnel costs, labor and fringe benefits, you no longer have any money for supplies or equipment, and that essentially makes city government ineffective, because at that point in time, we're just paying staff. Yes.
What is our labor cost right now? Is it of our budget?
I don't have the exact number because we were just doing some line item adjustments, getting into the last quarter, and so I'd be glad to bring that back at the next meeting. I know that as we're working on the next budget, we are trying to stay within that 75%, but I'm making a note to bring it back to the city council.
Okay.
Let me put that on the right piece of paper so I don't forget. Okay. And then lastly, of course, the effective date would be for the new budget starting on July 1, 2025. Again, we may not hit the 14% reserve threshold this first year, but that is what we're working towards because something, hopefully never, but something catastrophic can happen to an Oklahoma municipality at any point in time, and we need to simply have those reserves in our budget. I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
So,
Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Well, do you happen to know how we have addressed that in the past? I know you just came, but we've not had a reserve set aside for any catastrophes. Has it just been pulled from general fund, do you know?
So, yes, essentially, there is a small emergency fund, just a line item, but not to the threshold of 14% of the overall general fund budget.
Okay.
Yes.
And with this is in line with making sure we have a balanced budget for the future, correct? And that is the law, if I'm not mistaken.
That is the law that is actually contained in your handbook, that no Oklahoma municipality incur more expenses than can reasonably be paid for with the anticipated revenues. The only exception is if you were to go out to the voters for a bond or a loan, but then it has to have 60% voter approval. Public works authorities are different. That's why they are separate legal entities. But yes, Oklahoma municipalities, the general fund is never allowed to have more expenditures than it can reasonably pay for with either fund balance or the revenue that comes in.
So,
We cannot run a deficit.
so not going into the red.
Correct.
Got it. I think this is very appropriate and beneficial, just not from now, but for in the future. So I would like to make the motion to approve.
I second.
Councilman Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes,
Councilman Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Moore.
Yes.
that passes. So moving on to line item 17, agenda item. Consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Resolution 25-4-4, adopting the City of Eufaula credit card policy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This item actually came out of one of our recent audits. The auditor kindly reminded us that we need to put our credit card policies onto paper, and so we did. It is just a very simple, who's authorized to use a credit card, what is expected of them, what can it be used for, any kind of documentation and record keeping that is required while using a credit card, reconciliation and pre-approval of anticipated expenses, accountability for when somebody has an unauthorized expenditure on a credit card, and then, of course, that we would look at it as needed in the future. So it is a basic requirement. This is good for the city because it provides us some recourse if we have a potentially, not that we do, but if we ever had a rogue employee who would misuse a credit card, we now have a recourse with a policy such as this.
How many employees have credit cards?
Very few. Valerie, our city clerk treasurer, can answer that.
I have a credit card, Public Works Director has a credit card, Chief of Police has a credit card, and formerly the city manager has had a credit card.
Okay.
Now, there are two traveling credit cards that we check out for training. They have to sign for and sign the rules of what they can be used for and what they can't be used for. And they're required to bring back itemized receipts.
Perfect. I think this again will be very beneficial. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'm making a motion to approve credit
second.
card.
Councilor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Excellent. That motion passes. Moving on to line item number 18, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to conduct public hearing on the CDBG program.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to call to the podium Ms. Sheila Edwards, as she is here. She was so kind as to put together community development block grant funding application documents on behalf of the city of Eufaula. And the public hearing is one of the requirements that is necessary for the application itself. Ms. Sheila?
Hello, and good to meet the new faces. I've been working with the city of Eufaula for 35 years, I guess, off and on. But anyway, currently the CDBG is one of the longest running grants we've had that we get. It's very competitive. They have upped the dollar amount on this part of it, which is water sewer, to $600,000. So what I propose you apply for is they have one that if you've got a permit and you're ready to construct right now is one group of money. The other group of money is for engineering reports and all that. So it's kind of phase one, phase two. I suggest you do the engineering report one unless you happen to have something with a DEQ permit in hand you want to do. And it needs to be a host system item. Used to, you could do a few water lines, a few sewer lines, but they have a limit on how many dollars you can spend per person. And they've now ruled it where pretty much it needs to be something that benefits the whole system. Lift stations, basins, water pumps, that type thing. And I do not know what you had in mind doing, but this is due May 2nd, so. And the public hearing is just opportunity for the community to have a comment on which one you would prefer, would be water, sewer, and I don't know outside looking in.
I think we had one person sign up to speak.
We have two.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
No,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Council would like to call Mr. John Burdine to speak.
We're on 19.
We're on 18. We need to open the public hearing specifically.
He's here on number 20.
Okay, so, okay.
He's here on the public hearing.
Okay. All right, sorry. Mr. Chad French.
Mr. Mayor, This isn't just for the CBG grant, right?
This is just for the CDBG grant.
Okay, the way that I read it, it was for the needs of the Eufaula and concerns. Did I read that wrong in the notice?
It is specifically for the CDBG.
Yeah,
That is correct.
Okay,
yeah, it's a public hearing on the CDBG program. That's what's on the agenda, Chad.
okay.
Yes.
Well, that notice that I sent, or I saw was read
I
different.
have the notice if you'd like to read.
Yeah.
It says right here that it's a development block grant. If funding is approved, the grant will be used for a community water or sewer project.
Purpose of the public hearing is to provide citizens the opportunity to comment on the needs of the city and the priority of those needs. That's what I read.
Okay.
And then after that, the application talks about the CDBG.
Right, so it's, the public hearing is for the CDBG.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. We do not have any other people at this time. Any other comments? Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
If I may,
Yes, sorry. Ms.
we opened the public hearing, we closed the public hearing. There's actually no need for an action. It was, the action itself was to conduct the public hearing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Yeah.
I didn't speak clearly enough.
Yeah. So no action is needed?
No action.
Okay.
The action was the public hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry. When I see acceptance approval, okay, thank you very much for clarifying. All right, we're moving on here as a community. Item line number 19, and we take these separately or together?
We can talk about them together, but
Okay.
the action has to be taken separately.
Gotcha. So I'll read lie down 19, which is A through F as well. So consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to discuss the proposed Department of Commerce Community Development Block Grant, CDBG project, and take the following actions. Approval of Resolution 25-4-5, applying for a Community Development Block Grant. B, approval of Resolution 25-4-6 regarding insurance. C, adoption of written citizen participation plan. D, approval of fair housing documentation. E, approval of Resolution 25-4-7 regarding assurance. And line item F, authorization of the city manager or mayor to sign all CDBG grant documents.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick overview again, the CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant Program is to help lower income households within our community. And we can do so with system-wide benefits such as the water and sewer system, which we know we still need. And thus, there was that slight spin put on this particular CDBG application. All of the documents that you just read, A through F, are part of the application package itself. Once this has been reviewed by council and approved in each, we do have the option, as Ms. Sheila stated, to either go for a shovel-ready project, and we do have a couple of items that could move forward. We do have some lift stations that are in need of immediate repair, and we are pulling quotes at this time. Or we could go the route, as Ms. Sheila suggested, that we go for the engineering to further improve our overall system for the entire city. So as I stated before, it requires individual action for all of the items that are part of that entire grant application, just by virtue of this is U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development money. So it is HUD money, and they have very strict requirements on what has to be in place within the city, which is why you see the fair housing documentation. They want a specific citizen participation plan, and all of those items have to be in play. We currently do not have those, and so this agenda item was meant to put all of that in place. Ultimately, what it would do is would also include the authorization for either the city manager or the mayor send forth the grant application itself once all of those things have been put into place to actually apply. Now, as Ms. Sheila was saying, it is highly competitive because we are not the only community in Oklahoma to apply for the CDBG funding. So we put forth our best project, and as we collect quotes for each one of those items, we want to make sure that we provide the highest benefit at the lowest cost, because that will give us the greatest chance of an actual award. At this point in time, an award through the CDBG program is just simply not guaranteed.
And do you know exactly what the grant entails, like as far as the funds per se, or is it per project, or it's per project?
It is very specific to the project, so we cannot just say we would like it to replace a lift station. No, it has to be this lift station at this price, and it will affect this many residents within its vicinity and do XYZ for the entire system. So it has to be very specific. Otherwise, they will not look at it. And Ms. Sheila may be able to.
We have to have a preliminary engineering report for anything we do on the engineering component. And on, so, yeah, so either one's fine with me. But, and all, like she said, all of these, you'll see it each time we apply, because these are all, and it's their forms I've sent to you.
Yeah. And is it 100% funding for that?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 100% funding for
Yes,
that.
my fee is in that one, that's about the only one left that my fee is in.
Sure. But I mean, it's not a matching type grant that's going to
No,
cost
not
more
this
money. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
When is it awarded? When will the award be?
With the application is due May 2nd, and it's usually October, November before they start announcing.
Okay.
Thank you.
It is next federal fiscal year HUD money, so we would not hear anything back until after the new federal fiscal year starts in October. And that's if a budget resolution was passed at the federal level.
Good to know. High hopes. I think this is a very fantastic opportunity.
Mayor?
Yes.
Ms. Edwards.
Oh, sorry. I apologize.
You need to determine who you want to do the electronic signature, and let's say it can be either one, city manager or mayor.
Okay.
But most of the paperwork, like the application, has to be done online, and I walk you through it each time.
Thank you. So I think we can move forward with item 19A. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item A.
I will second that.
Councilor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes,
Councilor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
that motion passes. Any comments or questions? Moving on to number B. Okay. Is there a motion to pass line item B, approval of the resolution regarding insurance?
I make a motion to approve line item B.
I'll second.
Councilor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Moving on to numeral C here, adoption to the written citizen participation plan. Do I hear a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to approve item C.
I second.
Councilor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Barton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Moving on to number E here, approval of the resolution 25-4-7 regarding assurance.
Skip
Oh, sorry,
D.
sorry, I apologize. Approval of the fair housing documentation.
I make a motion to approve D.
I'll second.
Councilor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. Approval of the resolution 25-4-7 regarding assurance.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Councilor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman.
Yes.
Councilor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes well. And then, so we need to, with this, make the motion of the city manager or mayor to sign the documents.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Well, which we need to discuss which one.
I make a motion that the mayor will be the signature because you're consistent and we have an interim currently.
A second.
Counselor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Warren.
Yes.
Okay, that passes. Well, we look forward and we have high hopes, Ms. Sheila. Thank you. Moving on to number 20, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve the Eufaula Rodeo Arena lease with the Eufaula Area Chamber of Commerce.
Mr. Mayor and councilors, you may have noticed that there was a handout in your seat before the meeting started. Ms. Serena, I emailed her earlier this afternoon. There was a Scribner's error rather than saying, okay, rather than saying lessor, it said lessee. So it should have said lessor, because if there was to ever be any kind of incident and there was a payout, it would go to the city for replacement of any kind of lost infrastructure. And so I apologize for the Scribner's error. I'm glad we caught it before it was signed. So with all of that said, let me go and actually talk about the lease agreement. As you know, the city owns the rodeo and fairgrounds. The fairground side is already under a lease agreement with McIntosh County all the way through 2047. The rodeo side had previously been leased out, but has since lost that lease agreement. And the Chamber of Commerce, Eufaula Area Chamber of Commerce, has kindly put their name forward to step into that void, which is why this lease agreement was drafted. It is very similar to the lease agreements that you have seen in the past, albeit with some changes. So the Chamber of Commerce would receive the lease for 8.7 acres. It is clearly delineated on the image that is attached to the lease agreement. It would include not just the arena itself, but also parking on both sides of the arena for event space. It would be for a period of 5 years with the option to renew twice over for additional 5-year periods. There are no costs involved to the city. There are also no obligations other than providing the space for events to the chamber. There are several insurance requirements that have been worked into this lease agreement, which are very important to both keep the Chamber of Commerce safe as well as the city safe from liability. And in addition to that, there are some termination conditions if either party wanted to terminate the lease ahead of the 5-year. And then, of course, renewal terms as well. If the chamber chose to renew for additional 5 years, there would be a 90-day notification requirement. It is a relatively simple lease, but both city attorney and I have looked through it. And again, my apologies for the Scribner's error, but it is a good solid lease agreement. With that said, we do have representation here from the Eufaula Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'd be happy to answer any question. I'm sure Serena would be happy to answer questions as well.
So it's open, okay, to speak. Okay.
Yes.
We're just trying to continue the rodeo. It's been in our whole hog for many years. All we're trying to do is just continue it. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We just want to continue what's done in the past. We've ran the rodeo. It's been 5-ish years ago. We helped with the rodeo, and so it was brought back to our plate. With the chamber, we've always had the patent on whole hog, and so now it's going to be whole hog days in rodeo. It's been a deal. It's been 40 plus years. It's very good for our community. It brings a lot of people to town, and we just simply want to continue it. That's basically it. We're going to spend some time cleaning up the rodeo grounds. It hasn't been done in a long time. fix up the facilities and just try to basically just to continue what was started by somebody else, essentially. That's it.
And I always kind of, looking at a lease like this, I think it's always important to kind of look at, who's running it as well. And, giving, some of your board members, can you kind of talk like, some of the members that,
So we have a very strong board for financial reasons. People that has had lots of employees and done large budget numbers, so they're very good with doing those kind of things. I myself own and operate a construction company, so it'd be easy for us to go in and maintain the roads, paint the fence, fix the dirt, do some welding. We're going to be able to do all those things in-house. We're not going to have to go outside of our board to do those things. I think we do a pretty good job of running the whole hog days. I've been on the board almost 13 years now. We actually have our own building. When I started, we was basically in a closet with no money. And so over the last 12, 13 years, we've really come a long ways. And we're just hoping to continue our forward movement and make the rodeo, what it's always been, which is good. So.
Excellent.
That's exciting. Thank you. And I think that, just kind of given some of the members there, I think, because, some of them have been involved in other, like you're in construction,
Right.
but others in maybe some other.
Well, we want to have a breakdown after if this gets approved every year, so we can tell you how many how many people actually come to the rodeo, how much a concession, all those things bring in. And currently, even when we was involved several years ago, there was none of that. If you ask how many people attend the rodeo, there simply wasn't an answer. So we just want to be able to put our skills in it and try to grow that compared to what it is today, and basically continue it.
Growing up here, we used to have a lot of rodeos. I think, right, you remember that. And so are you looking at, about how many y'all might be?
We're going to try to get through this first, because whole hog is coming up pretty quick. So we want to try to get through this, but we want to have multiple rodeos throughout the year, multiple play days. We want to make it available to the community. If they want to get involved in play days or whatever those things are, we'll be glad to work with whoever it is that wants to be involved. Anybody that can help us make it better, for the whole community, essentially.
That's exciting. I'm glad you're going to have more rodeos than just.
Yeah, it needs lighting. It hasn't much been done to it, and so we want to get through this year, update the lighting, update the facilities, get some better bathrooms, better concession areas, and just try to make it better for what it's been so far.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you very much. Anybody else? Okay, thank you. All right, so.
Sign up on this one?
Huh?
A sign up on this one?
Yes. Okay, we have Mr. John Burdine that would like to speak on this item. And John, as you're making your way up, as we look at this agenda, I will be abstaining just because my mom is actually on that board as well. I think they're doing great things, and I love seeing a healthy chamber. I think that I've been a part of a organization that helped other places, like when I had an office in Stigler, I worked with their chamber to develop a recreational facility. So you can see how the chamber can do great things, but to make sure to stay ethical, I will be abstaining from this.
So you're going to abstain? Did you have what you said?
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Okay. Are you going to abstain? You're a member of the chamber?
I'm a member. Yes, I'm a member of the chamber. Should I abstain?
No.
My business is a member of the
Your
chamber.
business is a member, but you do not have any authority over the board itself.
Right. Yeah. Now, I was on the board prior to being on the council, and it's been over a year.
But you're not currently.
No,
a
I'm
board
not
member.
currently.
So
no, I will not be abstaining.
For me, whenever I look at that the list, I don't think it's worked very good for the last 7 years. I don't know why you want to continue down that road. And Zach, Jay, and Serena, they have done a great job of getting started. But it's really unclear where we're going. Do we continue down that path? But they have a lot of good skills. This rodeo has the ability this year probably to clear over $30,000. This is the first time that Zach spoke there that they've said anything about wanting to have play days and other activities. And it's not really included in this lease, but it needs to be a part somewhere or another of what they're going to do. Now, I know this lady over here doesn't look like a cowgirl. She doesn't sound like a cowgirl.
I can ride horses.
But Shawnee has the largest high school rodeo in the world.
Really?
Did y'all know that? It lasts about 10 days. You can't get a room for 10 days. You have to go to Oklahoma City to get a room. It has a major impact on the city. And when they've had that over there in the past, not recently, but in the past, we've had some of those contestants that have actually come to our rodeo and then gone back to Shawnee. If I remember right, it's like 17 or 18 states you have represented, or is it more than that?
It was over 30 this last year.
Okay. The last I heard it was 17 or 18, maybe Hawaii. And so she's aware of what the Western lifestyle brings to any community. So that's the reason I say that I want emphasis put on the fact that people, the public, is going to be able to use the arena. I don't like the fact that they turned this arena back to the city 6 months ago. If you remember, you came over there and we was talking about the seller's property. Wasn't that in October? Somewhere right along in there. And I told you, I said, there's going to be something come up about the rodeo arena and we'd like to visit with you when that happens. And so, you know that I was telling you then that this is coming. Why did it take 6 months? These contracts needed to be,
Please, you can't respond.
these contracts for these people needed to be signed in November and December. So because City Hall has put this off for so long, they've not been able to get the best of the best to come and put the rodeo on. Zach mentioned a little bit about the past. 7 years ago, when my sister was charged, we had 631 contestants. The next year, when the city got involved and we changed, they had 500. The next year it was 400. The next year it was 300. Then it was 219, 222, and 171 last year. It is all but dead. And I am very concerned about the fact that we're not getting the best contractors, the best announcers, the best entertainment to come at this point in time because it's been so late. And I just really disappointed in the city in not getting that out there and just sitting and holding it. But I'm here for the kids. The rodeo will take care of itself. But what I think we need is a really strong commitment. If the chamber is going to make 30,000, and look, they're going to make 40,000 on a poker run. That's a $70,000 weekend. But the good part about it is we're probably going to pay out money to 50 or 60 people. There's not any other community or city, Muskogee, McAllister, Fort Smith, that can say that they're paying out $70,000 or $80,000 to 60 or 70 people. So it's a part of it. And let me just throw in another little fact. I think we all want it to be the Whole Hog Days Rodeo. Whenever it stopped 7 years ago, and then it became the Eufaula Roundup Club. The reason is the chamber owns the rights to the Eufaula Roundup, to the Eufaula Whole Hog Days. So if it's a Eufaula Whole Hog Days rodeo, it's got to be with the chamber. Chamber has to be involved. Chamber has to give permission to use that name.
Mr. Burdine, the 5 minutes are up.
I shouldn't have talked about you, should I? I should kind of take that back.
Thank you, Mr. Burdine.
But that is my biggest concern. I think there were some options that we could have looked at to make a custodian, let them be over the arena, and we could have
Thank you, Ms.
had some options.
Absolutely. Can we address the chamber real fast? The chamber. Yeah, Zach, so we can be on record, you know, I think the concern hearing is that working with the community to have play days, can we just have on record that y'all will work with the community, making?
We're community-based
That's
as a
okay.
chamber.
Yes.
We are not here to say, if you want to have play days, that you can't have it.
Sure.
I think that there's nobody here that can argue the fact that as a chamber, we're here for our whole community, not just rodeo group, not just whole hog, not just any one group. We're here as a whole.
Perfect.
To help our community.
Thank you. Please.
The play dates, we have set dates for them already. End of May through June are the first 5 series set, and then we're going to have whole hog days, and then we're going to have in September and October 5 play dates. So that is already set in stone. Right now, I'm working on a committee that is outside the chamber that has the knowledge of it to run it. And then, so for this year, that's pretty much, I think, what we're going to do, make it easy year and maybe add a few other little things.
Thank you. So it sounds like that's also being
It is
addressed.
in the process of
Yes.
being worked on.
Thank you.
Serena, so tell me how much do you have completed on your plans for Whole Hog Day Rodeo? You've got all your sponsorships.
I have a lot of my sponsorships. Yes, I still have some to work on and just working to start advertising and put it together with radio, newspaper, Facebook. If it gets signed, you're going to see tomorrow a Facebook page for the rodeo and some television stuff this year too.
Perfect.
Good.
Good,
Thank you.
thank you. Do you want to say, would you like to say?
Would you like to-
something else?
You know, for just the rodeo right now, I had already started with some sponsorship and I've already raised $22,000.
Oh, good.
Fantastic.
Going to our rodeo to help.
Yes,
Yes.
contractor, repairs and all that. So I'm just waiting to get signed so I can really open it up.
And I love the idea of a committee that will involve the community.
There will also be a rodeo committee too.
Yeah.
Once, we're just fun to make sure we're doing the right stuff in the right way before we go to the other steps.
I hear Mr. Burdine's concerns. I do believe that the chamber will be very good at heading the rodeo because you're very organized and you've already have most everything in place,
I
it
do.
appears.
We do, absolutely. We wouldn't have taken it if we didn't think we could do it and do it right.
Yeah.
So we're excited for it to be a part of Whole Hog Days and even more like next year, adding more rodeos and different things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the adoption of the Eufaula Rodeo Lease Arena to the Chamber of Commerce.
I'll second.
Counselor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
I abstain.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
And Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Congratulations, Chamber. Moving on to line item number 21, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve a concessionaire agreement between the City of Eufaula, Eufaula Public Market LLC, EPM, subject to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers approval to reflect a reduced area for the property formerly occupied by EPM. Ms. Andre.
Mr. Mayor, Jennifer Albro and Mr. Joe Watson came to City Hall. They had reached an agreement for the sale of the leasehold improvements contained on Eufaula Public Market. And so Ms. Jennifer, in her capacity as the owner of Eufaula Public Market LLC, has indicated her willingness to assign a portion of that lease, which is why there are actually two agenda items that are closely related. This first item would be for Eufaula Public Market to assign a new concession lease agreement with the city of Eufaula for a reduced portion. So what was contained in your agenda package was the assignment, which clearly states that Eufaula Public Market is willing to assign a portion of their original lease, concession lease to the Watsons, and then also a new lease agreement between Eufaula Public Market and the city of Eufaula for a reduced portion. There was no survey done for the reduced portion. However, there was a survey done for the actual part that is carved out, which is why there is some red line language on that saying, yes, this minus that. And I do not believe that we have Ms. Albero in the public, but I know that she had just sent me this afternoon the partially executed document. And then, of course, we have the Watsons here, both Mr. Joe and Ms. Robin Watson, to speak on the portion that is being carved out. So again, this is for a concession lease with the approved assignment of the original concession lease to new parties. In this case, one portion goes to Eufaula Public Market and the other portion would go to the Watsons.
And is this the zone? Do we know, is it zone commercial, with?
That is an excellent question. I did not, because the building did not change. I would have to actually go look at the zoning. That was not part of the research.
We're talking about the property that's south of Brahms.
Correct.
And part of that is Corps of Engineer property.
It is.
The majority, all of it is Corps of
except-
Engineer.
Except for the signages, I think belongs to the city, I think, if I remember correctly.
On the corner of Brahms.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are strictly talking about the area that was included in the previous concession lease the city had with Eufaula Public Market, which the desire is to split that now into the small portion that contains the leasehold improvements, which was purchased by the Watsons, and the remainder would stay with Eufaula Public Market.
Okay.
So yes, it is all core land.
Mr. Watson, if you'd like to speak on that.
Can you be here in case you have any questions?
Oh, yeah. Just questions?
Yes, yeah. No, the Albros that came to us about buying that, there was wanting to do some other stuff there, and so we're looking at putting in a barbecue restaurant, what it would be. Yeah, so we're got people coming to paint, put a new roof on. We'll start this week as soon as we get this signed. So it'll all be painted. They'll get a new shingled roof. We're gonna get it all cleaned up, and we'll have a barbecue restaurant there is what it'll be. So.
Wow.
Excellent.
That was the word on the street is what I heard. So I'm pretty excited. When's the date of open?
Yeah, we got plans already sent to the Corps. We're gonna build a deck outside and have an outdoor patio area. So that's kind of the plan. So
Will it be similar to your Shakota location?
it will. It won't be the full meat market like that when we just don't have the room. So we will have coolers there with meats available, but they'll be done at our processing plant in Council Hill, and then they'll just be brought there. So we will have certain things, but we won't have everything like we do at Shakota. Yes.
I hate to hear that.
Yes, not enough room. Yeah.
And it will not be will it be sit down service like your Chop House in Muskogee?
Yes. No, it'll have set down service. We plan on having waitresses, and because we will have a big outdoor patio area. So, yes. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Good deal.
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Exciting.
That sounds exciting.
So just to remind the council, this first item, number 21, is only for the portion that stays with Eufaula Public Market, not the portion that will go to the Watsons. And again, this is all contingent on Corps approval, so the city will have to submit all of the documents to the Corps for their approval of the concession lease.
I have a question. Do the Albros intend to still have the food truck area if if they've set aside that, if they've carved out
I can
anything?
answer that if you want me to.
Yes.
Yes, ours is the Circle Drive. Ours will be, I think it's 32, 33, and 34 lots. We'll have the first 150 feet. We'll have the Circle Drive for the drive-through. It narrows in behind our building and around, but the food trucks and all that will still be there.
Okay.
Yeah, she just told me they've got several new ones this year and are excited about it. So yeah, the food trucks, it'll all be under theirs. Basically, we got enough. We bought the building from them. We got enough for parking, a Circle Drive, and a nice patio area out back, and they've got the rest. It's a small area.
Thank you.
The ice vending machine, does that still belong to Lake?
Chamber.
That has been carved out. That is correct.
So is there a motion
Belongs to the chamber, doesn't it?
to approve the reduced area for the property formerly occupied by EPM? You follow public market.
I make a motion to approve the reduced area for EPM.
Second.
Counselor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes,
Counselor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
that motion passes. Moving on to line item 22, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to approve a concessionary agreement between the City of Eufaula, Joe and Robin Watson, subject to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineer approval for a portion of property formerly occupied by Eufaula Public Market LLC, EPM.
Make a motion to approve.
I second.
Counselor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes,
Counselor Barton,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
that motion passes. Okay, moving on to line item 23, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to move into executive session pursuant to 25 OS 307B1, discussion related to the city manager, more specifically, the employment, hiring, appointment, promotion, demotion, discipline, or resignation of any individual salaried public officer or employee. Line item A, to establish the search process for a city manager, including but not limited to advertising qualification and salary.
I make a motion that we move into executive session to address item 23.
Second.
Counselor Warren,
Yes.
Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Morgan.
Yes.
Okay, we will move into executive session.